The night was silent, too silent, like the world was holding its breath. The stars above were cold and bright, watching from the endless sky. Inside the human base, soldiers slept, machines hummed, and all seemed normal. But when morning came, one thing was not normal at all. The alien girl was gone. She had been taken and nobody had seen or heard a thing. Her name was Lyra, a girl from another world, with eyes that glowed like silver moons. She was not just another alien visitor. She was special, though most humans did not know why. Only one man seemed to truly care. His name was Daniel, a soldier, young but with eyes that carried shadows of war. When he heard the news, his heart sank, but also, something inside him whispered that the story was not right. Others gathered in the command room, muttering about an enemy raid. Maybe the rebels took her. One officer said, "No, it must be the Shadow clans, they hate her kind." Another argued. But Daniel stood in the corner, silent, his fists clenched. He knew the enemy, he knew their style, and this was not it. If they had come for her, there would be a fight, broken doors, alarms, chaos. But instead there was only silence and emptiness. It was too clean, too quiet, too easy. Daniel remembered her last words to him only 2 nights ago. Her voice had been soft, almost afraid, but her silver eyes had burned with warning. "If I disappear, do not believe what they tell you," she had whispered. At that time he had laughed, telling her not to worry. But now those words cut into his mind like sharp blades. She knew this would happen, he thought. She knew. Around him the soldiers spoke of searching, of sending drones, of making reports. But their voices felt hollow, their eyes empty, like they were only following orders. No one else felt the weight of her warning. No one else seemed to care about the strange way she vanished. Daniel could not accept it. Something was wrong, something very wrong. And if no one else would see it, he would. He walked back to the empty chamber where she had slept. The bed was untouched, too perfect, as if no one had ever lived there. The air was still, but Daniel felt it, a strange pull, like the ghost of a secret. He knelt by the floor, scanning the corners, the shadows. There, small, almost invisible, was a mark, a faint symbol scratched into the metal, something only someone looking closely would notice. His heart raced because he had seen it before. It was not a mark of capture, it was a mark of choice. She had left it behind for him, only him. Daniel touched the symbol with his hand, and for a moment he felt warmth, not from the metal, but from memory. He saw her smile, soft but distant, as if she carried a truth too heavy to share. She had always been different, quiet, but with a fire inside her words, and now she was gone, but not taken the way others believed. No, Daniel thought, this was something else, something deeper, he whispered into the silence. "Lyra, what did you do?" Behind him the door slid open and another soldier entered. "You're wasting time, Daniel," the man said, his voice bored. "Command wants everyone in briefing." Daniel nodded, but did not move, his eyes still fixed on the symbol. The soldier frowned, then left, muttering about Daniel's obsession. But Daniel did not care. He knew this was the beginning of something bigger than anyone imagined. He rose to his feet, his jaw set, his mind racing. The others could believe their simple story, that enemies came and stole her away. But he would not. He could feel the truth waiting, like a shadow hiding just beyond the light, and he would find it no matter the cost, because Lyra was not just missing. She had been taken. Yes, but not in the way they thought. And if she had left him this sign, it meant only one thing: she trusted him to follow, and he would. As Daniel stepped out of the chamber, the corridors seemed darker, the walls closer. Every sound echoed like a warning. Every shadow felt alive, but he did not stop. The mystery of her vanishing had already begun to consume him, and in his heart he knew this was no ordinary disappearance. This was the beginning of a secret war, and he, a single human, was already standing at the center of it. Daniel could not sleep that night. His mind kept turning, chasing questions without answers. He lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, but all he saw were Lyra's silver eyes, glowing in his memory. Her words echoed inside him, soft but sharp. "If I disappear, do not believe what they tell you." He wanted to push the thought away, to believe she was safe, but doubt kept crawling back. It was not just fear. It was something stronger, something like truth. The others acted as if the case was already closed. Command had given the report, cold and final. "Enemy strike, silent raid, alien girl taken," they said. But Daniel knew better. He had fought the enemy before. He had seen their tactics, their brutal pride. They always left signs, broken walls, trails of blood, trophies of war. But here there was nothing, only absence. It was too clean, too careful, too strange. He sat at the edge of his bunk, his hands trembling slightly. Was he losing his mind, or was he the only one seeing clearly? Doubt gnawed at him, whispering that maybe he was wrong. But then the memory of her last look came back. She had stared at him with such intensity, as if trying to plant a message deep into his soul. No, he thought. She wanted me to question. She wanted me to see. The next morning, Daniel walked through the base. Soldiers laughed, engineers worked, drones flew overhead. Life moved on, as if nothing had happened. It made him angry how quickly they forgot. Lyra had been different. She had been more than just a guest. She had brought knowledge, strange stories of her world. She had been kind, curious, and brave. And now she was gone, and nobody cared. Nobody but him. He went back to her empty chamber. He searched every corner, every shadow, every hidden place. There had to be more than that one faint mark. He pressed his hand on the wall, listening. He remembered how she used to hum softly when she thought no one was listening. A song not human, a melody full of sadness and hope. It haunted him now, as if the walls still carried her voice. Suddenly, he noticed something new. A small crack near the edge of the bed frame. It looked like nothing, just a scratch. But Daniel leaned closer, his instincts screaming at him. He pulled gently, and a thin piece of metal shifted. Behind it, a tiny compartment opened. Inside was a folded piece of fabric. His breath caught, because on that fabric was drawn the same symbol he had seen scratched on the floor, but this time it was clearer, brighter, drawn with purpose, and under the symbol were words, written in simple human letters. "Trust no one but yourself." His hands shook as he held the fabric. This was no random act, no enemy trick. This was Lyra speaking to him, directly, secretly. She had prepared for this, planned for this. She had known what was coming, but why him, he wondered. Why did she choose him? He was only a soldier, one man among many. Yet she trusted him, and only him. The doubt inside him grew into fire. He could not believe the lies of command anymore. He could not accept the silence of the others. Something far greater was happening, something they were all blind to, and he was the only one who could see it. That night, Daniel sat alone in the observation deck, staring at the stars. He thought about her world, far beyond those lights. He thought about the stories she told him, of guardians, secrets and wars older than humans could imagine. Was this part of that story? Was she hiding from her own people, or from his? The questions twisted his mind, but the answers felt close enough to taste, yet still hidden. In the dark, his doubt became resolve. If she had left signs, he would follow them. If she had asked him not to trust, he would not. He would look beyond orders, beyond reports, beyond the false comfort of routine, because one truth burned inside him now. Lyra was not simply taken. She was protecting something, and if she trusted him, he could not betray that trust. He rose from his seat, his jaw tight, his eyes hard. Tomorrow, he would start searching beyond the base. Tomorrow, he would begin the path she left for him. He was only one human, small against the stars. But sometimes one human was enough, and Daniel knew deep in his heart that this was only the beginning. The beginning of a mystery, of a chase, of a war that would change everything. The next day began with cold winds sweeping across the barren land outside the base. Daniel stood near the gates, his eyes scanning the horizon, but his thoughts were far away. Lyra's hidden message burned in his pocket, the fabric with the words, "Trust no one but yourself." It was more than a warning, it was a call that only he seemed to hear. And Daniel knew he could not wait any longer. He had to move. He had to follow. He left the base quietly, taking only a pack, a scanner and his old rifle. The guards at the gate barely noticed him. They thought he was on routine patrol. But his steps carried a different purpose, heavier, sharper. He was not hunting enemies, he was hunting truth. The land stretched before him, dry soil, broken rocks, and strange alien plants that glowed faintly in the morning light. Each step echoed with doubt, but also with determination. Hours passed, and the silence of the wild pressed against him, until he saw it, a mark on a stone, faint but clear. The same symbol, Lyra's mark, carved into the rock surface. Daniel's chest tightened. This was no coincidence. She had been here. She had left this for him. He touched the carving, feeling the grooves under his fingers, and in that touch he felt her presence guiding him, pulling him forward. As he walked on, more signs appeared, a broken branch twisted in an unnatural way, a circle of stones placed carefully near a dry stream, small things others would ignore, but together they formed a trail only he could see, because only he knew her. Only he had listened when she spoke in whispers. Only he remembered the way she drew symbols absent-mindedly on walls. Her language of signs had become his map. The deeper he went, the stranger the land became. The air shimmered with faint energy. The ground pulsed like it was alive. Daniel tightened his grip on his rifle. Though he knew bullets might not save him here, this was Lyra's world reaching out. This was her truth bleeding into his. He moved, carefully, every sense alert. But still he followed because he trusted her even in the unknown. By nightfall he reached a canyon, its walls high and sharp, cutting across the desert like a scar. There in the fading light he saw another clue. On the canyon wall, a series of symbols glowing faintly, not scratched, not painted, but burned into the rock itself. The shapes pulsed softly, alive with some strange energy. Daniel's breath caught, because this was not just a sign. This was a message meant only for him. He moved closer, the glow lighting his face. And as he touched the stone, the symbols shifted, rearranging themselves. His heart pounded. This was technology beyond human understanding. But the symbols finally stopped, forming words in his own language. "Do not stop. They are watching you." Daniel pulled back quickly, scanning the canyon. His eyes darted to the shadows, but nothing moved. Still he felt it, the weight of unseen eyes pressing against him. He was not alone. He crouched low, moving carefully along the canyon path. Every sound made his nerves scream. Every shadow seemed alive. And then he found it, a small device half buried in the dust. It was alien, smooth, black, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. He picked it up, and the device lit in his hand. A faint voice echoed from it, soft, almost broken. "Daniel, if you hear this, then I am still alive." It was Lyra's voice, fragile but real. His chest tightened, relief and fear crashing together. She was alive, but she was in danger. The message continued. "I cannot tell you everything, not yet, but know this, they are not what they seem, and neither am I." Static filled the rest, the voice fading. Into silence, Daniel held the device close, his mind racing. Who were they? And what did she mean by not what they seem? And what did she mean about herself? The doubt from before now became a storm. Every answer he found only gave birth to more questions. But one truth was certain. Lyra wanted him to keep going. He slipped the device into his pack, his eyes scanning the darkness again. The canyon stretched on, endless and quiet. But now he knew something. The trail was real, the signs were real, and she was guiding him step by step, He was walking into danger deeper than he had ever gone, but he was also walking toward her, toward the truth. And Daniel knew he could not turn back. Not now, not ever. The night sky above the canyon glittered, with 1,000 stars. To others it was just the cold beauty of space, but to Daniel it was a battlefield. A silent war of shadows and secrets. And in that war he was no longer a soldier following orders. He was something else now, something more dangerous. He was a human following the clues of an alien girl. And together, their story was only just beginning. The canyon was endless, its walls rising high like the jaws of a giant beast. Daniel pressed forward, his footsteps echoing faintly against the stone. Lyra's device pulsed in his pack like a heartbeat, reminding him she was still out there. But the message also carried weight, a warning. They are watching you. And Daniel could feel it, the sense of eyes in the dark, silent but heavy. He moved carefully, every muscle tight. The air was colder here, carrying whispers that felt almost alive. He could not see them, but he knew he was not alone. Shadows shifted, rocks crumbled in the distance. The watchers were near, unseen but patient. Suddenly a sharp sound cracked the silence. A streak of energy shot past him, slamming into the canyon wall with a hiss. Daniel dropped low, his rifle in hand, his heart pounding. More blasts followed, searing the air, glowing against the dark stone. Someone was hunting him, no longer hiding. He rolled behind a rock, breathing hard. His mind raced, enemies or something. Else he leaned out just enough to see. Figures moved in the distance, cloaked in dark armor, their eyes glowing faintly. They were not human, their movements too smooth, too silent. These were the watchers, and now they were chasing him. Daniel fired a burst, the rifle's recoil biting into his shoulder. One of the figures staggered, sparks flying from its armor. Not blood, not flesh, machines. They were machines wearing the shape of warriors, and they were relentless. Daniel ran, darting between rocks as blasts lit the canyon like lightning. The ground shook under his boots, dust filled the air, but his focus was sharp. One thought driving him forward. He had to survive. He had to reach Lyra. He could not stop here, not now. The chase grew faster, louder, deadlier. The machines leapt from rock to rock, moving with unnatural speed. They were closing in, their glowing eyes fixed on him. Daniel's lungs burned. His legs screamed, but he pushed harder. Every step was survival, every breath a fight. At the canyon's end, he saw a narrow gap, a slit in the stone barely wide enough for a man. Without thinking, he dove inside. Scraping his shoulders against the walls, the machines fired, but their shots slammed harmlessly into the stone. He slipped deeper into the crack, the passage twisting downward. Darkness swallowed him, but it was safety for now. His chest heaved, sweat dripping down his face. He leaned against the wall, listening. The machines stopped at the entrance, their glowing eyes peering into the dark, but they did not follow. Not yet. Instead, they waited. Patient hunters. Daniel clenched his jaw, knowing they would not give up. They would chase him until he was dead. Deeper into the passage he went, his flashlight cutting through the black. The walls were strange, covered with markings, symbols like the ones Lyra had left. He realized this was no natural crack. This was a path, a hidden road built long ago, and Lyra had known he would find it. The thought gave him strength. The tunnel, twisted, dropped, and finally opened into a vast cavern. The sight stole his breath. The walls shimmered with crystals that glowed faintly. Pools of liquid light bubbled on the ground. And in the center stood a structure, ancient and alien. It pulsed with energy, humming like a heartbeat. Daniel stepped closer, awe and fear mixing inside him. Was this what Lyra wanted him to find? Before he could think more, the ground shook. The machines had entered, their heavy steps echoing behind him. Daniel cursed under his breath, his rifle raised. But then he noticed something. The crystals on the walls began to glow brighter as the machines came closer. The pools of light rippled, reacting to their presence. The cavern itself seemed alive, and Daniel realized it was choosing sides. A surge of light erupted from the pools, striking one of the machines. The armored figure convulsed, sparks flying. then collapsed into the liquid. Gone in an instant. Daniel's eyes widened. The cavern was defending itself. Lyra had led him here not just for safety, but for power. He understood now. This place was part of her secret. A place where humans were not weak. A place where the Watchers could fall. With renewed strength, Daniel fought. He dodged blasts, returned fire, and used the cavern's strange energy. Crystals lit at his command. Pools rippled when he shouted. It was as if the cavern listened to him, trusted him. One by one, the machines fell, consumed by the living light, until silence returned. Broken only by Daniel's ragged breath, he sank. To his knees, exhausted but alive. The cavern glowed softly around him, peaceful again, and Daniel understood one thing. This was no longer just a chase. This was a test. Lyra was guiding him. The cavern had protected him, and somewhere ahead, more secrets waited. He wiped the sweat from his face, stood and whispered, "I'm coming, Lyra." The cavern was quiet now, its glowing pools calm again. Daniel stood in the silence, his chest rising and falling, his rifle heavy in his hands. The machines were gone, swallowed by the strange living light. But the memory of the fight still pulsed in his veins, sharp and raw. He was alive, but the question pressed harder than ever. Why had Lyra led him here? He moved toward the structure at the center of the cavern. It was tall, made of dark stone and crystal, humming with a low rhythm like a heartbeat. Strange markings covered its surface, symbols twisting like flowing rivers. Daniel reached out, his hand trembling. The moment his fingers touched the surface, the markings lit up. The cavern shook softly, as if waking from a long sleep. A vision struck him, sudden and overwhelming. The cavern faded, and he saw Lyra standing. Before him, her silver eyes glowing brighter than ever. Her face was calm, but her voice carried weight. "Daniel, if you are here, then the Watchers have already moved against you." He froze, realizing this was not just memory. It was a message she had left, a hidden truth waiting for him. Her voice grew softer but stronger at the same time. "I am not who they think I am, not even who you thought I was." Daniel's chest tightened, her words cutting deep. Lyra continued, "My people sent me to watch, to study, to judge if humans could be trusted." Images flashed behind her, cities of crystal, alien councils, armies of light. "Some believed humans are dangerous, reckless, a threat to the stars," she said. "But I saw something else. I saw hope. I saw strength." Daniel's fists clenched, his doubts now burning with meaning. All this time she had carried a secret. She had not been just an alien girl lost among humans. She had been a guardian, a protector, and maybe even a spy. But why hide it? Why keep it from him? Her voice continued, "The Watchers you faced are not enemies of my people. They are enforcers." Daniel's eyes widened. The machines were not rebels. They were her own kind's creation. "They came not to harm me, but to take me back," she explained. "Because I chose you, Daniel, and they fear what that choice means." His breath caught, the truth unraveling like a storm. She had not been kidnapped. She had been taken by her own people. The vision flickered, her image fading. "Trust yourself, Daniel. The path is dangerous, but you are not weak." Her last words echoed sharp and final. "Find me, before it is too late." The vision vanished, the cavern dimmed again. Daniel staggered back, his heart hammering. The truth weighed heavy, almost too much to carry. Lyra had been testing him, believing in him when no one else did. And now she was trapped between worlds, hunted by her own people for choosing a human. He sank to his knees, his mind spinning. He thought back to her gentle smile, the way she had asked him questions about Earth, about humanity. She had not been curious for fun. She had been searching for proof. Proof that humans were more than war and destruction. Proof that they could be trusted, and she had found that proof in him. The cavern hummed again, pulling him out of thought. The markings on the structure shifted, forming a map. A line of glowing symbols stretched across the stone, leading to a distant point. Daniel recognized the terrain. a valley beyond the desert, far from the base. That was where she was, where they had taken her. The map was her final clue. He rose slowly, gripping his rifle tighter. He had his answer now, and with it came new weight. This was not just a rescue, it was a choice. If he saved her, he would be standing against her own people, against forces far greater than he could imagine. But if he did nothing, she would be lost forever, and humanity's chance at trust, at alliance, at survival, would be lost too. The cavern lights dimmed, the map fading. Daniel looked once more at the glowing pools. They had saved him, they had accepted him. It was as if the world itself was on his side. For the first time he felt not just doubt or fear, but purpose. Lyra had trusted him, and he could not fail her. He turned and walked toward the tunnel, his steps firm. The chase was no longer just about survival. It was about truth. It was about proving that one human could matter in the vastness of the stars. The hidden truth was clear now. Lyra was more than an alien girl, and he was more than a soldier. Together, they were something new, something dangerous, something hopeful, and the Watchers would learn that soon enough. As Daniel stepped into the shadows, his voice broke the silence. "I'm coming, Lyra, and nothing will stop me." The valley was darker than the desert, its cliffs high and sharp like blades cutting the sky. Daniel moved through the shadows, every step heavy but certain. The map from the cavern had guided him here across endless stone and burning winds, and now he stood at the edge of truth. Lyra was close, he could feel it, but so were her captors. The air was thick with silence, broken only by the hum of machines. From the cliffs above, faint lights flickered, moving in careful patterns. Daniel crouched low, his rifle tight in his grip. The Watchers were here, guarding something, and he knew what that something was. Her. He waited, watching their movements. The machines patrolled in circles, their glowing eyes scanning the dark. They were precise, relentless, leaving no space uncovered. If he made one mistake, one sound, they would swarm him. But Daniel's heart beat with steady fire. He had faced death before. He had nothing left to lose but her. He slipped through the rocks, silent as shadow. His eyes caught a faint glow in the distance. A cage of light stood at the valley's center, and inside, a figure knelt, her silver eyes dim but still burning. Lyra. His chest tightened, relief and rage crashing together. She was alive, but she was a prisoner. The Watchers circled the cage, their armor black against the glow. Daniel counted them. 1, 2, 3, 4. More hiding in the cliffs. Too many for a straight fight. But he had not come this far to turn back. He breathed, slow, steady, his mind racing. He needed a way, a weakness, a chance. Lyra lifted her head, as if sensing him. Her eyes met his across the distance. Even through the cage of light, he felt her strength. Her lips moved, though he could not hear the words. But he knew what she was saying. "Don't stop." His heart pounded. And then the choice was clear. He fired, the shot cracking the silence like thunder. One Watcher fell, sparks bursting from its chest. The valley erupted with noise, energy blasts raining down from the cliffs. Daniel rolled behind cover, returning fire. The air burned with light and sound. The fight had begun. The machines advanced, their steps heavy and cold. Daniel's rifle spat fire, each shot precise. 2 more fell, collapsing in sparks and smoke. But still they came, relentless, endless. Daniel's body screamed with pain, but his spirit held. He fought not for survival, but for her. Then the cage itself pulsed, its glow shifting. Lyra's hands pressed against the light. Symbols flared around her, burning like fire in the air. The cage cracked, its energy twisting and shaking. Daniel realized she was fighting too, not with weapons, but with her own power. The Watchers turned toward her, their focus breaking. Daniel seized the chance. Rising from cover, he charged, firing, shouting, his voice raw. One fell, then another, but the blasts struck him too. Heat tearing across his shoulder, pain burning deep. He staggered, but refused to fall. Not now, not here. With a final scream, the cage shattered. Light exploded, throwing the watchers back. Lyra stood free, her eyes blazing brighter than the stars above. Her voice cut through the chaos, strong and sharp. "Daniel, now!" He rushed to her, covering her with his rifle. Together they stood, human and alien, side by side. The remaining watchers regrouped, their glowing eyes locked on them. But something had changed. The cavern's energy was with him before. Now the valley itself seemed alive, responding to her. The ground trembled, the cliffs groaned. The watchers hesitated. For the first time unsure, Lyra lifted her hand, symbols glowing across her skin. The air shimmered, waves of force striking the machines. They staggered, falling one by one. Daniel fired beside her, every shot finding its mark. Together they were unstoppable. Together they were something the watchers had feared. At last the valley was quiet again, smoke rising from broken machines. Daniel dropped to one knee, exhausted, blood running down his arm. Lyra knelt beside him, her silver eyes soft now. "You should not have come," she whispered. He gave a weak laugh, his voice rough. "You knew I would." She looked at him, pain and gratitude mixing in her face. "This is only the beginning, Daniel," she said. "They will not stop, not until I am back in their hands or destroyed." He met her eyes, steady despite the pain. "Then they will have to go through me first." The night above stretched, endless stars burning like silent witnesses. In that moment, Daniel knew there was no turning back. He had found her, but in finding her, he had declared war. The Watchers would come again, stronger, but so would he. And now, they would fight. Together? The valley still smoked with the ruins of broken machines. Daniel stood weak but unbroken, his rifle hanging heavy at his side. Lyra leaned against him, her silver eyes dimming, but her spirit still burning. The night above was endless. Stars, scattered like witnesses across the black sky. It felt like victory, but Daniel knew better. This was not the end. This was only a pause. From the cliffs, a low hum began to rise. The ground shook, dust falling from the rocks. Daniel's breath caught as shadows moved above them. Larger shapes appeared, descending like predators from the sky. The true army had come. Dozens of watchers, their armor black, their eyes glowing cold. Not just scouts now, but soldiers of her people, and they were here for her. Lyra's voice was steady, though her face was pale. "They will not. Stop, Daniel, they will take me back no matter the cost." Daniel tightened his grip on his rifle, shaking his head. "Not while I'm breathing," he said, his voice rough but certain. She looked at him, sadness and hope mixed in her gaze. "You are only one human. How can you fight them all?" He gave a grim smile. "Because that's what humans do." The Watchers landed, surrounding them in a circle of steel and light. Their leader stepped forward, taller, heavier, with a voice like grinding stone. "Human, this is not your fight. Step aside and you may live." Daniel spat blood, raising his rifle. "You'll have to kill me first." The leader's eyes burned brighter. So be it. The battle began like thunder. Energy blasts rained down, shaking the valley. Daniel dove behind rocks, firing back. Each shot precise, each step desperate. The Watchers moved in perfect unity, but Daniel was chaos, fast, unpredictable, relentless. He was only one, but he was everywhere. And in that storm, he was dangerous. Lyra joined him, her hands glowing, symbols burning across her skin. Waves of force struck the Watchers, knocking them down. But more came, pressing forward, endless and cold. Daniel's body screamed with pain, but his will only grew stronger. Every time he fell, he rose again. Every wound made him fight harder. The Watchers could not understand it. Humans were supposed to break, but he refused. At last the leader moved, his steps shaking the ground. He struck like lightning, his blade of light cutting through stone. Daniel blocked, his rifle shattering under the force. He staggered back, but then rushed forward again, He grabbed a broken shard of crystal from the ground and with a roar he drove it into the leader's chest. The machine howled, sparks flying, before collapsing into the dust. Silence fell for a moment. The remaining watchers froze, their unity broken. They looked at him, this single human, bloodied and broken yet still standing. Fear flickered in their glowing eyes. For the first time, they hesitated. Lyra stepped forward, her voice cutting through the air. "Do you see now, this is why I chose him. This is why humans cannot be underestimated." The watchers retreated, their forms fading into the night, not defeated forever, but shaken. They had seen something they could not explain, a human who would not surrender, a human who stood against the stars, and they feared what that meant. Daniel dropped to his knees. Exhausted, his body trembling, Lyra knelt beside him, placing her hand over his heart. "You should be dead," she whispered, her voice soft. He gave a weak laugh, his breath ragged. "Yeah, I get that a lot." She smiled faintly, but her eyes were serious. "They will return stronger, more determined. This war is not over." Daniel met her gaze, his own eyes steady despite the pain. "Then we'll fight together." She nodded slowly. Together. The night stretched endless, stars burning brighter now. Daniel looked up at them, his chest heavy but proud. He was only one human, small, against the universe. But tonight he had shown something no machine, no empire, no watcher could deny. Humans may be fragile, but they are stubborn, relentless, and unyielding. And sometimes, that was enough to shake the stars, as Lyra helped him to his feet. The valley lay silent. But in that silence, a new story had begun. A story not of one alien girl or one soldier, but of something greater. Something born when human will met alien truth. The watchers would return. The war would come. But Daniel was ready because he knew now humans fight back and they never stop.